Welcome everyone. We're Group 7 with Cố Khánh, Dương Thi, Minh An, Ngọc Tuấn, Nguyên Khôi, and I, Nhật Huy. As you know, gender equality has been becoming a debatable topic, not only in Vietnam, but also in the world.
So, what does gender equality mean? Gender equality definition is the state in which access to rights or opportunities is unaffected by gender. It's not only women who are affected by gender inequality, all genders are impacted, including men, trans and gender diverse people. This in turn impacts children and families and people of all ages and backgrounds. Equality in gender does not mean that women and men will have or need the exact same resources, but that women, men, trans people's, and gender diverse people's rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on their assigned gender at birth. For example, in terms of family, mostly women around the world do 3 times as much unpaid work at home as men, including household work and caring for children and family members. And many of these women also work full-time or part-time careers. Gender equality in this example will look like splitting up at home work as evenly as possible between all genders of a household, so that the burden of taking care of the home and family is not solely on women.
Over the years, the world has gotten closer to achieving gender equality. There is better representations of women in politics, more economic opportunities, and better healthcare in many places of the world. However, the World Economic Forum estimates it will take another century before the true gender equality becomes a reality. What drives the gap between genders? Here are 3 causes of gender inequality.
Around the world, women still have less access to education than men. A quarter of young women between 15 to 24 do not finish primary school. That group makes up 58% to the people not completing that basic education. Of all the illiterate people in the world, 2/3 are women. When girls are not educated on the same level as boys, it has a huge effect on their future and the kind of opportunity they will get.
According to research from the World Bank, over 1 billion women don't have legal protection against domestic sexual violence or domestic economic violence. Both have a significant impact on women's ability to thrive and live in freedom. In many countries, there is also a lack of legal protection against harassment in the workplace, at school, and in public. In addition to limited access to contraception, women overall receive lower quality medical care than men. This is linked to other gender inequality reasons such as a lack of education and job opportunities, which results in more women being in poverty. They are less likely to be able to afford good health care.
When religious freedom is attacked, women suffer the most. According to the World Economic Forum, when extremist ideologies such as ISIS come into a community and restrict religious freedom, gender inequality gets worse. In a study performed by Georgetown University and Brigham Young University, researchers were also able to connect religious intolerance with women's ability to participate in the economy.
When exploring gender inequality, it's important to also look at the effects, such as the lack of job opportunities for women, the lower wage, and domestic work. It affects the social development, particularly in developing countries, as many women don't have access to education needed to pursue a worthwhile career. Research from 2020 refers to a study in which women have reported experiencing gender discrimination in the past 12 months scored more highly than others on a depression screening tool. Depending on the situation, facing discrimination can also result in anxiety and psychological trauma.
The authors of the research paper argue that discrimination plays a key role in the gender gap in rates of mental illness. Women experience higher rates of most mental health conditions, including depression, which is twice as prevalent among women, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is often called PTSD, eating disorders, which are 4 to 10 times more prevalent in women.
Experiencing any type of abuse or assault can lead to mental health conditions as well as further complications that are traumatic in themselves. For example, if a person survives sexual assault, they may become pregnant, contract a sexually transmitted infection, or become excluded from their community. A 2018 study found that women who experience discrimination at work are more likely to report ill physical health, and particularly women who have experienced sexual harassment. Stress from any source can also contribute to many chronic conditions, including chronic pain, high blood pressure, and diabetes.
On the 8th of March 1857, female textile workers in New York, USA, rebelled about being forced to work 12 hours a day in horrible conditions. After that victory, American working women were inspired to continue their fight, and for the first time in February 1909, women across the country held a demonstration in support of equal rights for women. The early struggles of American women workers resonated deeply and served as a powerful source of inspiration for the global movement of working women. Equal rights for men and women were recognized in 1945 as a fundamental human right, as well as one of the basic human rights included in the United Nations Charter.
Around the world, women are increasingly engaged in politics and occupying positions of power, with a growth in the proportion of women in positions of leadership at the top of district and municipalities and in seats of parliament in people's councils. Particularly, it took social movements in the US more than 70 years between 1848 and 1920 to struggle for and achieve for women some basic rights, including the right to be protected, equality for women in general and women of color in particular. In support of Vietnam, the international community recognizes Vietnam as one of the top 10 nations for implementing Goal 5, which calls for the advancing gender equality and empowering all women and girls in the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations.
Gender equality enables people to openly and knowledgeably live with their gender without fear of discrimination. To be treated equally in all spheres of politics, the economy, culture, society, and the family. to be supported are given opportunity to showcase their skill and to share equally in benefit of the labor. In order to achieve gender equality, both men and women must be free. Males are affected when rents are raised too high or excessively low, in addition to the effect on women. According to several studies, offering women the same chance as men will encourage them to assist one another and share work, therefore promoting economic progress. Therefore, it is important and worthwhile to fight for women's rights and gender equality at all times.
Many males in today's culture are subjected to discrimination, restrictions, and stereotypes because of their gender. For instance, males are supposed to be strong, in control of their emotions, and the family's primary provider. Due to their inability to live honorably with their children, these beliefs are placing a great load on the shoulders of many individuals, including his true self. There have been cases where wives have physically assaulted and degraded their husbands. Men have also been mistreated and sexually attacked in certain instances. Only by defending the legal rights of both sexes can equality be attained.
Abuse by feminists does devalue and minimize the value of men. When women can do everything men can do and even better, they will begin to dismiss and even mock men's positions. This happens when women have higher expectations of themselves than men do. Economic independence for women is necessary, not dependence on men. Modern women actually possess independence and tenacity and manage everything according to their current stance. This is especially true of smart women. Women who lack cultural graces in these situations are more likely to be egotistical and demeaning to their spouses. The spouse is easily put in a position of weakness, humiliation, and loss of face in front of families and friends.
The right attitude and standpoint about gender equality, especially in the 21st century. In order to adopt a new attitude, we should not make any compliment or distinction with either men or women. Next, companies must have a clear statistic about men and women's salary, make it publicity. Finally, if there are any cases about marriage violence, there should be a fair punishment. Gender equality will lead us to a better society. In addition, gender equality prevents violence against women and girls. Gender inequality is a root cause of violence against women. Gender equality is good for economy. It's also a human right. And gender equality makes our communities safer and healthier.